Welcome to Payback with Silas. Every day, a new story, lies, betrayal, payback. Let's begin.
12 years. And all I was worth was a 30-second speech and a forced smile. That's how fast loyalty dies in corporate America. It doesn't bleed. It vanishes. My name's Rylan Maddox. I'm 35, live just outside Denver, and until recently, I was the senior partnerships director at Halverson North, a B2B logistics firm that grew fast, grew dirty, and grew blind. I joined when we were a 4-person office above a shuttered mattress store. Back then, we still brewed our own coffee, and the only thing we outsourced was dry cleaning. I built the partnerships division from scratch. I pitched in Milwaukee basements, LA boardrooms, and diners off I-70 at 2 a.m. I brought in some of the biggest contracts this company ever signed. You know why? Because I believed in the damn thing. I was loyal. I turned down better offers. I stuck through 2 economic dips, a merger, and the hell that was Q3 of 2020. And I didn't just survive. I carried. So imagine my confusion when I get a vague email on a Thursday night. Subject: Zoom call at 9, mandatory. No context. No agenda. Just a calendar invite with a smiling face in the profile picture, Jasper Keene, our new CEO. Some 38-year-old Harvard McKinsey VC type who just acquired the company through a private equity group called Red Haven Holdings. I'd never met him. He'd been in charge less than 2 weeks. I joined the call right on time. He was sitting in a minimalist office that looked like it had been rented for the background. Framed quote on the wall: "Speed beats perfection." The kind of guy who reads The Art of War once and thinks he's Sun Tzu. There were 2 others on the call. A lawyer from HR and someone from operations. Neither of them made eye contact. Jasper smiled like he was ordering coffee. "Rylan, thank you for joining. I'll keep this brief." "No. How are you?" "No. We appreciate your years here. Just, your role doesn't align with our new corporate structure. We're merging the partnerships division under the sales umbrella." And just like that, everything I built was gone. I asked one question. Just one. "Who's taking over my clients?" Jasper glanced at something off camera. "Probably a script. We'll be redistributing them internally. It's already in motion." That was the moment. Right there. I knew. They hadn't just decided today. They'd planned this. Weeks ago. Maybe before he even stepped into the building. I didn't argue. Didn't beg. I said, "Understood. Thanks for letting me know." And I left the call. 12 years, erased in 3 minutes. Not a single mention of what I'd done for them. Not even the decency of a handshake. But the thing about building something from scratch? You remember every brick you laid, and who helped you lay it. And so did they. The first thing I did after the call was drive. No destination. Just asphalt and anger. It wasn't about the job. It was about what it meant. I had tied a decade of my life to that place. Birthdays missed. Flights rescheduled. Relationships strained. I sacrificed time, the one thing you never get back, for something I thought would mean more when it was over. They didn't just fire me. They fired trust. And that never goes quietly. The next morning, I woke up early out of habit. No job to go to. No inbox to drown in. I sat at the kitchen table in my worn hoodie, poured burnt coffee from a cracked Chemex, and stared at my phone. Then it buzzed. "You okay?" It was from Lennox Barnes, EVP of Falcon Tech, one of our biggest clients, and someone I considered a friend before the contract. We met 6 years ago at a botched trade conference in Phoenix. Our first handshake was over a spilled Red Bull and a joke about keynote speakers who think they're rock stars. Since then, we'd done 3 multi-million-dollar deals together. I called him. "Hey. You heard?" "Yeah. Last night. Halverson sent a generic transition notice to all key accounts. No heads up. No human contact. Just automation." I exhaled. "They're merging the partnership division. Apparently I'm obsolete." Lennox went quiet for a second. Then he laughed. Let me tell you something, Rylan. You're not obsolete. They're blind. 2 hours later, I got another call. This time from Dara Linwood, COO at Klein Pacific. Another key account. She wasn't even mad. She was insulted. We signed with Halverson because of you. Not because of some brochure. Not because of their PowerPoints. You made us believe. I'm not letting that go. That day, I got 5 calls like that. And not just sympathy calls. They were calls with purpose. What are your next steps? You thinking of consulting? Wherever you land, we want to follow. I didn't plan revenge. I didn't draft any. I'll show you. Speech. All I did was stand still and let the truth catch up with them. Halverson had made a critical error. They saw me as a position on a spreadsheet. My clients saw me as a partner in progress. So when I left, they didn't see a name removed. They saw a reason to reconsider their loyalty. And just like that, the cracks started showing. It would take another week before Jasper Keene realized what he'd really done. But by then, it would be too late. The first email Jasper sent to our client base was robotic. Subject line: Important account transition notice. The kind you delete before opening. The kind that screams we think you're replaceable. He probably thought it was efficient. Scalable. What he didn't realize was, these people don't buy from Halverson North. They bought from me. And suddenly, I was gone. The second wave hit 3 days later. A quiet drop in engagement. Key clients ghosted follow-ups. Cancelled check-ins. One major client, Klein Pacific, straight up halted their Q3 renewal process. No reason given. Just silence. Internally, they probably assumed it was normal churn. But I know better. See, people don't follow logos. They follow relationships. And Halverson's new regime? They had none. That Friday, Lennox from Falcon Tech invited me to coffee, real, in-person coffee, not Zoom. He showed up in a denim jacket, sunglasses, and this half-smirk like he already knew what he was going to say. Look, Rylan, what if I told you we're not the only ones pissed? I raised an eyebrow. Who's we? He pulled out his phone, flipped to a group chat titled Rylan Refugees, and tilted the screen. 6 clients. All mine. All had received the same cold email. All ready to walk? You didn't just build partnerships. You built loyalty, Lennox said. And now, Halverson's treating it like they can just upload a spreadsheet and keep the same energy. I exhaled. Deep. It was the first time in days I felt still. That night, I got an email from someone I hadn't heard from in years. Vivian Carr, former VP of Strategic Ops at Halverson, now at a rising logistics firm in Austin called Kelmarks. Heard what happened? Their loss. Want to talk? I said yes. And here's the irony. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to burn them down. They were doing it themselves. By thinking people like me were disposable. By believing relationships could be templated. By chasing efficiency at the cost of humanity. You can automate emails. You can automate reports. But you can't automate trust. You can't automate loyalty. And once you lose that, no software is going to save you. It didn't take long for the fire to reach the 15th floor. Word travels fast in private equity, especially when 7 of your top clients, politely, withdraw within the same quarter. I wasn't watching closely, but friends still inside started sending me whispers. Have you seen the numbers? Jasper's sweating. Word is the board wants blood. They're blaming ops, but we all know it was the Keene cut. See, what Jasper didn't understand, what so many of those suited takeover artists never understand, is that business isn't a machine. It's not just input-output. It breathes. It remembers. It responds. And Halverson North? It remembered me. 3 weeks after I was let go, the quarterly board meeting happened. I wasn't there, obviously, but someone who has sent me a transcript, not officially, of course. Just a concerned friend, with access to the call. Jasper started the meeting with a carefully crafted slide deck. Pretty fonts. Upward arrows. Words like efficiency realignment and cost leverage synergies. But then came Marla DeWitt, senior board member, major investor, and not the kind of person who tolerates excuses. "Let's stop pretending this is about structure," she said. "You removed the one person who built the most valuable part of this company, client confidence." Jasper tried to redirect. Said the clients would come around. Marla didn't blink. "They're not coming around. They're leaving. Following Maddox. Because he didn't treat them like rows on a spreadsheet." And that's when the gloves came off. Slide after slide, they tore into him. Customer churn rate, up 38%. Revenue loss projection, $12 million over the next 2 quarters. Net promoter score cratered. One investor reportedly said, "We didn't buy Halverson to own a name. We bought it to keep the relationships Ryland built. Without those, what the hell did we pay for?" The real punch? Vivian, remember her? The one from Kelmark's. She'd already begun onboarding 3 of those fleeing clients. Her team was expanding. She wanted me to head up strategic growth. Full autonomy. Solid equity. A seat at the table. And I hadn't even officially said yes yet. Meanwhile, inside Halverson North, panic was setting in. Internal memos. Emergency restructures. Layoffs in Jasper's handpicked team. A LinkedIn update quietly removed. Visionary change agent. From his bio. But me? I was sitting at a quiet bar on East Colfax, sipping an old-fashioned, watching the sun dip behind the Rockies. It wasn't vengeance. It was gravity. And Jasper had cut the rope himself. Starting at Kelmark's felt like stepping out of a bunker and finally tasting oxygen again. Their Denver office was in an old converted firehouse, exposed brick, real windows, and not a ping-pong table in sight. No performative culture. No hustle harder slogans on the walls. Just people doing honest work and doing it well. I wasn't on board, I was welcomed. Vivian met me at the door herself. "Here you don't have to fight to be heard," she said. "We hired you to lead, not to be micromanaged." The role was officially VP of Strategic Growth, but in practice, it was something bigger. Rebuilding from scratch, but this time, on my terms. I spent the first 2 weeks doing what most companies forget to, listening. To the team, to the clients, to the systems. No sudden fixes. No forced change. Just observation. Immersion. The trust was immediate. I wasn't introduced as a new exec. I was introduced as the reason we got Falcon Tech, Klein Pacific, and Albury and Sons back on board. Yeah. They all came. Lennox signed Falcon Tech to a 5-year deal with us. Dara moved Klein Pacific's entire logistics chain over within 2 months. Even old-school Albury, the type who once said, "We don't switch partners lightly," sent over contracts with handwritten notes that said, "Where you go, we go." And inside Kelmark's, things moved differently. There were no pointless status meetings. No 12-person email chains to get a yes. No performative leadership. Just real work. Real results. And real respect. One afternoon, Vivian and I grabbed lunch at a local Peruvian spot. Halfway through a conversation about scaling the new West Coast operations, she paused and said, "You know what I still don't understand? Why'd they let you go?" I smiled into my coffee. "Because they thought leadership was a title. They didn't realize it's a relationship." She laughed. "Well, their loss is about to become our market share." And it did. By the end of Q2, Kelmark's numbers were up 27%. Not just because of me, because of how we worked. Together. With intention. Meanwhile, Halverson North? Multiple layoffs. Internal chaos. Jasper reportedly took a sabbatical. Translation: he was pushed out with a golden parachute and a quietly revised press release. But I didn't check on them often. I wasn't obsessed with their collapse. I was focused on building. on becoming the leader I always wanted to work for. Halverson taught me everything I needed to know, especially how not to run a company. You know what no one tells you? Sometimes getting fired is the best thing that can happen to you, if you don't let it break you. It's been 10 months since that Zoom call. 10 months since a man in a rented office chair looked into his webcam and told me I didn't fit into his structure. 10 months since I walked away without yelling, without begging, and without compromising who I was, but with everything I'd earned. Not just client loyalty. Not just reputation. But proof that when you do things the right way, slow, honest, relationship first, the foundation holds even when the house falls. At Kelmarks, we just closed our first international partnership. The same clients Jasper thought would transition smoothly now carry our logo into new markets. I've built a new team, hungry, sharp, ethical. Not chasing scalability at the cost of trust, but growing with purpose. Every Friday, I take 1 hour to call someone on the team just to ask, "What's one thing I can do to make your work easier?" It's not a KPI. It's not on a spreadsheet. But it's the kind of thing no algorithm can replace. Last month, we held an offsite with the full strategy team in a cabin near Estes Park. No suits. No buzzwords. Just real talk, real work, and mountain air. At one point, as the team roasted marshmallows and talked about ideas for the next quarter, I stepped back and looked at it all, the people, the trust, the energy. And I realized, this is what leadership feels like. Not control. Not fear. Not politics. Alignment. I don't think about Halverson much anymore. They've become a warning label in my head. A reminder that culture isn't free, you pay for it, one way or another. Jasper? Last I heard, he's consulting now. Writing think pieces on resilience in leadership. Maybe he learned something. Maybe not. Doesn't matter. Because this story was never about revenge. It was about remembering my value, even when they didn't. They erased 12 years in a Zoom call. But they couldn't erase what those years taught me. Couldn't erase the relationships I'd built. Couldn't erase me. And now? 12 years was just the start.